Okay, we are finally back on the Mercedes, and today we're going to be working on the thing that I've purposely saved for the very end. We've got 2 more projects left. One of them is the suspension, but we're still waiting on parts because we got the wrong ones. That's why this is taking so long. It's a little bit frustrating. The other is the interior, which is my least favorite thing to do. But I think that I've learned some stuff over the years doing interiors that will help you if you're in the same situation as me. What's the situation? Well, the situation is I have a very dirty interior. Now, interiors can get very, very expensive, especially if you're trying to do some custom stuff. With this one, we're going to be doing pretty basic kind of restoration of the interior, just so that if the livery comes off later or the car gets painted a different color, whatever, I want the interior to match. Originally, we were gonna go super custom and match it to the livery and stuff, but I just felt like that was not a good idea for longevity of this car and of this interior. So we're gonna be restoring this interior and making it look hopefully brand new, or as close as we can get to it. Now, although it has not been, ow, I just cut my hand. We're okay. Although it hasn't been a main focus on the channel, we have done a lot of interiors, from the absolute lowest budget interior, which is the C10, we did it for like $150, to the Corolla, where we kind of built everything for the interior because parts were impossible to find, and then the MR2, where we installed our own seat covers, and they're kind of pre-made covers that we put on our old seats to restore those, and then into the Mustang, which you guys haven't seen yet, but is a full interior restoration, from new parts and panels to rebuilt windows to recovered and reupholstered seats, the whole 9 yards, as we say. And I've learned a lot from interiors over the years, and how to do things on a budget, but also what's worth doing on a budget and what's not. And we're gonna really put that to the test with this car. And I think it's gonna help you if you're in a place where you need to get the interior finished on your car, or you want to get it redone, or you want it to match the outside of the car, where you've done a lot of work on the outside, but the interior still looks like garbage. I think I'm going to be able to help you do that. And no matter where your interior is at, the first thing you're going to do before you do any other work is clean it. By far, the best way to save money on an interior is by saving parts. So what we're going to do first is attempt to save as much as possible. And this is how we're going to do it. A few weeks ago, we worked with chemical guys to make the outside of this car look clean and new after having sat in a shop covered in dust for several months. And they gave us some tips on cleaning the interior, and immediately after getting into the interior, we realized we're going to need to do a lot of cleaning. So the interior is getting its own video, and it's not just going to be cleaning, but it's also going to be restoring. Now, we're trying to save as much as possible. This car was made in '99, which means interior parts are actually really hard to find, and not all of them can be recovered, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But the first thing I want to try to do is save what we have. That's going to save us money, and it's going to keep us from having to go on this wild goose chase to try to find the parts that we need. So I like starting with, in my opinion, the hardest thing to clean, which is the carpet, because most people just don't clean it ever, so we've got to erase 20 years of stains. We're going to try to clean this carpet and bring it all the way back without any sort of over dyeing or anything like that. And then we'll move up into the door panels and things like that. Now, you will have noticed from the earlier shots of this video that the seats are out. That's because we are having them recovered, and I'll talk to you about that process, what that looks like, and how to save money doing that later in this video. But first, we're going to use these products that chemical guys sent us to clean the carpet. Now, the things I'm going to be using is really simple. It's just a few things. The first is the lightning fast stain extractor. That's for really heavy stains, which is basically this whole car. The second is their invisible super cleaner. You can use this on literally anything. It's completely pH balanced, so it's not going to mess up your paint. It's not going to mess up your windows. It's not going to mess up anything. So we'll clean basically the entire interior with this stuff after we've used the stain extractor. And then we've got this boar's hair, not boar's head, I want to say boar's head, that is deli meat. Boar's hair brush that we're going to use to kind of work the stains up. And then this is going to be for our leather. This brush is going to be for cleaning our leather. I'll link all of these products below, so if you have to clean your interior, you'll know kind of what you need. It's not much, but it's enough to do the job. We've also got, we've also got a microfiber towel. We're going to use that to kind of pull some of the stains out. We'll probably use a few of those. And then a very important tool to cleaning interiors is a shop vac. You're going to want to vacuum up all the dirt, because this stuff's going to get it loose and bring it to the surface, but if you don't get rid of it, it'll just spread the stain out, which you may have experienced in cleaning interiors before. Okay, I think that's all the information that we need for you guys to know what's going on. I'm going to get to work, and I just need to be clear, I do not enjoy this at all, but it's just a necessary thing. I want this interior to feel as nice and look as good as the exterior does. Let's do it. So as I hope you can see, this carpet is very heavily stained. A lot of these stains have just sat forever, so they've kind of dispersed throughout the carpet, which in my opinion makes them even harder. I don't know if it actually is harder, but it feels so much harder. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this lightning fast and spray this stuff down, basically the whole thing. And we're gonna start by just doing a basic once over with the boar's hair brush all the way over it. We'll vacuum it all up, and then we'll take kind of an after shot and see how much it actually did. Then we'll go in and start spot shooting everything. I did have someone say you should over dye this with black. That's a kind of a last ditch effort. I really think that the gray interior is kind of classy looking. I think it looks cool in this car. So if we can save the gray, we're gonna save the gray. I don't want to just go adding black over everything and just covering stuff up. I'd rather just get rid of it altogether. So that's what we're gonna try to do. Here we go. I should have probably vacuumed this first, but here we are. In fact, that's what we're gonna do. I'll go ahead and spray this and let it work, but I think we're gonna end up just vacuuming real quick, getting all this loose stuff out of here. Alright, so we spent basically all day yesterday cleaning carpet. It was not very fun, but it's very done. So I'm very excited about that. It does look really good. The only places I had some issues with getting stains off was right here on this trans tunnel. They spilt something. I don't know if it was like some sort of coffee or something on there, and it kind of ran down either side. So we're going to have to work on those a little bit more. Maybe, I don't know. I'm going to have to figure out how to get rid of those. They're like little brown dots that I really want to get rid of. But everything else came out really, really good, especially with how dirty this thing was. It really looks good. And I think probably the biggest difference, which you can't like scratch and sniff on videos, but is the smell. It smells so much better. And you guys that have been here since the beginning of this build will know this car smelled pretty bad when I first got it just because of all the hydraulic fluid. We rebuilt all of the cylinders. We cleaned out all of the standing hydraulic fluid. And got it all dried, and then cleaned out this carpet as well, which had a little bit on it, and it really does, and it smells great in here, which is really awesome. So we're gonna keep moving today. The next job, you'll notice this door panel is gone. It's because I had to do some testing to see if what I wanted to do is gonna work, and it does in fact work. So today we're gonna be pulling off the other door panel, and I'll show you guys how I'm gonna restore that. The reason we're restoring it, one, it's saving us a lot of money because they're like $270 a piece on eBay, but also I could not find one in good condition. Most of them are at least as dirty as mine, if not dirtier, and in worse shape. So mine are actually in pretty good shape. They're just dirty, and some of the leather is discolored because it's a convertible and it spent a lot of time with the top down. So we're going to fix both of those problems with about $6 in material and some cleaning. No, that's not true. It's about $15 in material and some cleaning. So let's get to that. So I prefer to work on my door panels with them off the car. It's just easier to me, but they can be a little bit finicky to get off. So I definitely recommend, if you're doing this, to look up a video of taking one of yours off. A lot of times there's hidden screws. You start pulling too hard, you're gonna break your door panel. And these things are not, they're getting harder and harder to replace, and they're not really repairable. I actually took one of these to the interior shop, the upholstery shop. I was like, hey, can you repair this? He's like, not really. There's not much I can do to this like formed stuff, right? It's not made to be repaired, just replaced. So we're going to fix that. So we're gonna pull this thing off real quick. Luckily, Mercedes uses a lot of screws in their design, which is good. I prefer that over clips. And then I'll show you how we're gonna fix this thing and make it look brand new. Well, as close to brand new as we can get. Let's do it. Alright, so the door panel is out. We're going to use this nonsense invisible cleaner and our long hair brush to clean everything off. There's some staining here that looks like, I don't know if it's UV staining or what. We've got some black here, but I want to make sure this is really clean, especially this handle, where obviously someone has grabbed a lot and it's left kind of this oily black residue. We're going to get rid of all that as well and just get this as clean as possible before we move on to the next step. Alright, this thing looks so much better already. We got all the black oily stains off. We got a lot of the dirt off of this thing. There's still some bleaching from the sun. We're gonna take care of that next. But first what we're gonna do is use some like degreaser, acetone, whatever kind of solvent you have, and we're gonna wipe the whole door down. Just get it all cleaned up completely, and then we'll be ready for the next step, which is probably my favorite. So you might have already guessed this, but we are going to be painting these door panels. Now I just went and picked up this Duplicolor vinyl and fabric paint. This is not sponsored. This is just the paint I've been using for years. I've tested it out. The longest term was 5 years on a car that me and my dad built together, the Mustang actually. 5 years ago, we used this on the interior to change it from gray to black, and that stuff held up for about 5 years. The only parts that didn't hold up were the places where there was oil, so like where your fingers and hands are a lot. They started to chip. We just resprayed them again for the first time in 5 years, and they look great. So this stuff really is awesome for restoring kind of hard to find parts, or if you're wanting to kind of recolor or retouch up your interior on a budget. This, in my opinion, is the way to go. I'll link this below so that you can get it if you can't get it from like your local Walmart or wherever else, depending on where you are in the world. We're gonna hit this with several light coats and cover this whole thing in one color of gray. It should look really good. was able to trim this up. You see, looks pretty good. We're going to do this one next. Same deal. We'll spray it down. There you go. I'm pretty proud of this. I think it came out really good. I'm really glad that we were able to recover the speaker grills because they came out awesome too. Everything looks clean, everything looks new, everything looks fresh. Now this color is a little bit darker than the original color that was on here, so we'll have to cross that bridge when we come to it. We'll do that. But we're going to hang this up for now until we get ready to put these back in the car, and we're going to move on to the next project, which is the most expensive part of any interior, and that is the seats. I just got these things back from the upholsterer. I'm so excited. You will have noticed that I have had the seats pulled out this entire video. They've been at the upholsterer for about a week and a half, and they look awesome. Now, a problem with Mercedes is that they make easily the most complicated seat ever conceived. And he told me that whenever I had these recovered. So having a new one is really, really great. The only issue is we couldn't find the fabric or the leather that Mercedes used, so we had to match as close as possible, which means we're gonna have to figure out how to make it match inside the car. One of the added benefits to recovering the seats, I didn't realize until I started doing it or having it done on my cars, is that a lot of times if it's a really good upholsterer, they will rebuild the seat basically. So they'll add foam in, they'll rebuild the bolsters. So a seat that did feel flat and kind of used up and old, you'll get back and it looks and feels new. You can see these bolsters are super deep again, and the ones on the side are too, and they feel really, really great. Before we do that, we're gonna take the roof off. We've got some work we need to do on the headliner and kind of the surrounding parts of the roof because it came off of a different car, so it doesn't match. So we'll do that. That way when we put the seats in, it'll be easy to see what's going on in the color differences and all that cool stuff. Let's do it. All right, so I thought we were gonna be able to save our headliner, but it did not want to be saved. And I'm really bad at headliners. I've done enough of them to know it's something I don't need to do, especially if I want it to last a long time. So we've got to take this to the upholstery shop. For the sake of this video, we're gonna go ahead and do the rest of the work on the interior, and we'll get the headliner done off camera, and it'll just be done next time you see the car. But what we're gonna do to help him is go ahead and paint all this stuff. So this is all that tan color, and we need it to be gray. So we're gonna paint it the same color as the door panels. That way our interior guy has something to match to so he can pick out the vinyl. All right, so you notice I did not tape the windows. That's on purpose. I'm gonna use paper instead because you can actually get it to slide back inside of there. And that way, there we go. You can get it to slide back inside of there. You don't have to worry about paint getting behind the tape. We could go and mask everything off with the paper, but I think it's a waste of time. So we'll just hold the paper wherever we're painting. If we do get some overspray in the glass somewhere, you can just use your razor blade to take it off. So it's not a big deal. And that'll make it a little bit quicker for us to get this stuff painted. All right, so we're done basically. We painted all this stuff. We may have to do a little bit of touch up after we get everything put back together, but I think it's gonna look pretty good. The gray came out awesome. It covered this tan like perfectly. I mean, that's like 1.5 coats of paint, so it was really easy. We're gonna go finish cleaning the seats. We'll go put all our stuff back together and kind of complete our interior. This thing feels awesome. It's like hugging my sides, which is great. I think going around turns is gonna feel great. On top of that, it just feels so much more firm. I don't know what all, that probably has a little bit to do with just the material on the outside. Maybe he built up the inside a little bit, but it really feels awesome. Feels awesome. We don't have these things bolted in. They're kind of hard to put together, and I think I'm probably gonna pull them apart again while I'm cleaning. So we'll put them together kind of in the final assembly of everything. We put everything back, but just sitting in them in here, this car feels so much nicer already. And the clean carpet is helping a ton as well. Look at that. Can you see that?
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's gross is what it is, Eric. That is gross. Wow, cool. This is literally changing color as we clean it. We're using a different cleaner this time. This is a leather cleaner from Chemical Guys, and this is actually a leather brush.
Boar's head, I believe.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's not boar's head. That would be, it would be made of turkey if it was boar's head. We'll link it below. But this has been working really great on leather, and as you can see, I mean, this stuff is like a different color where we were scrubbing it. So that's pretty encouraging because this old stuff is noticeably darker than the new stuff. So my hope is that we can clean this up, get it to brighten up like this, and it'll all just match really well. The reason I didn't take the whole seat out is because right now our seat electronics are not working, which I know may be surprising when you look at how simple these seats are, but they aren't. So we can't move everything around to get them unbolted. All right, more cleaning. All right, so because we are actually painting some stuff a different shade of gray, I want to kind of tie the rest of the interior together. So I think we can tie this new gray from the door panels into kind of the back of the car and also into the headliner like we painted the headliner. And it'll all make a lot of sense even though it's some different shades of gray. So we're just gonna tape this up real quick. We'll spray it with that paint because it works on leather just like it does on vinyl. We'll hit this and we'll hit that, and then this stuff will all match the headliner and the door panels, and I think it'll all kind of work together to make a complete interior. All right. There's so much wind out here right now. We don't have wind here. It just doesn't happen. That thing is cooking, dude. First of all, we're gonna thank FJ Eric, who is my film guy, for getting the new mic. That is probably, can you hear any wind noise through it right now? No wind. You're welcome, everyone. Thank FJ Eric in the comments for getting us a good mic. We've got some fastening that still needs to happen, clips that broke and stuff that we'll have to take care of, but overall, I'm pretty happy with the end result. The wind is trying to die down, so I think that we are going to move from the door panels, go back to the rear, and make the rear leather parts match our new door panels. Whoops. So every time I sat in this car before doing this, it felt really gross. Like the seats were stained and kind of oily feeling. The door panels were very oily and just torn and nasty. And sitting in this car now, it does, honestly, not exaggerating, it doesn't feel like the same car. It feels totally different. Everything's clean, everything smells good, it just feels nice. And the seats especially have changed the whole feeling of the car. I mean, they feel new, first of all, but also they're really
they're just great, just great. So I'm really happy with this. I was a bit concerned about the different shades of gray we have going on in this interior, but luckily Mercedes used a lot of different shades in this car anyway, so it actually kind of all makes sense and works. Now, you'll notice maybe a few pieces missing if you have a keen eye, so we'll do that off camera. I'm not really concerned about it. This is the final form for you guys of the interior. Now, we will get the roof done and we'll get it back on in a future video, but as far as painting and recovering and cleaning and everything else, we are done. Huge, huge thank you to Chemical Guys for teaching us how to clean the interior and sending us some products to do that with. I'm gonna link those products down below. I was very, very impressed with how they were able to get the stains out of the carpet and the dirt off the leather and just make this car feel and smell like a brand new machine. So now that this interior is done, that marks one of the biggest projects that I was dreading on this car. It really is the only project I was dreading because I just don't like doing them. I'm so stoked with how this came out. I think we did a good job for what we did, and I think that taking the roof to an actual upholsterer to have them do the headliner is the right move. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, make sure you like it. Hit subscribe if you hadn't subscribed before. It helps us out. In the next video, we're gonna be reworking the entire suspension to make this car a little bit easier and more fun to drive. So you don't wanna miss that. It's next Saturday. We'll see you then.